Good morning, super friends, and welcome to a very early Tuesday AM channeled message. I was supposed to come in yesterday and the day got ahead of me, and then I was going to do a message last night, and I was just too dang tired. So I went to bed, and here I am this morning with you. But because I meditated for us yesterday and then again for us this morning. There's several different threads of messages that want to come through. So I'm just going to see what feels most relevant because I can already hear, thanks to the time change, my daughter stirring downstairs and she's going to want my attention here pretty quickly. So this may be a quickie and there may be more. I may come in later and do another one or I may save it for tomorrow, which is Wednesday. So let's see what wants to come forward for us this morning. As with all of my messages, please take what resonates, leave the rest behind. If you are tuning in, there's likely going to be something here for you, but if you don't find yourself here, just move on. I don't want people fitting themselves into boxes where they don't belong. I'm trying to unbox people, not put you into one. So know that, please. And these messages are timeless. So whether you are receiving it today, Tuesday, November 4th, how are we in November? Um, whether you're receiving it today or later this week or later this year, just know that there is probably going to be something here for you. I may have said that twice. I don't know. It's early. I'm drinking coffee, but it's not all the way in yet. All right, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm just going to start giving you what wants to come forward. As I said, there are several threads of energy, and I'm feeling like I want to be moving my body, so there's information there as well. Um, Maybe for you, maybe for me, it's like there's this feeling of ants in my pants, like there's something wants to move, and it's honestly this feeling has been in my body since Sunday night. Sunday night, I attended an ecstatic dance event that was really, it was actually more like five rhythms. There was a very distinct arc to the evening, and it was about releasing grief. And I have been in a year of releasing a lot of grief. Just my life has completely changed. I've completely shifted into a new timeline. And while it is glorious and it is beautiful and it is wonderful, and in many ways it's infinitely more easeful than it's ever been, there's also some grieving that has been happening for what was. And most importantly, what came forward for me during that grief ritual, which feels very applicable to what's happening here in this collective, is grieving the ways, all of the many ways that we have abandoned ourselves. And so there's a lot of grief present in on the planet for what's happening to the planet, like literally what's happening to Mama Earth. There's grief for what's happening between us and humanity and what's happening in our governments, what's happening amongst our people. But what came forward really is the way that we shift that, the way that we hold that grief, the way that we heal and move from grief into joy, from fear into love, the way we change the frequency of the planet is by grieving the ways that we have abandoned our own selves, the way that we have left our own hearts, our own beings, our own bodies behind in the name of something outside of ourself, which in some ways feels very noble, right? We're taught that young. It's much, much better or it is good to serve others, and that is very much true. But there is this feeling in this collective, there is this feeling in the global collective of having abandoned our own selves, and we can't lead, we can't love, we can't hold anyone together if we are abandoning ourselves and not holding ourselves and our own hearts and our own beings first. It's like all of the cliches, put your own oxygen mask on first, fill your own cup. And this is not from an egoic place. This is not a, like, we're going to be really selfish and we're going to go have spa days and we're going to get massages. And there's nothing wrong with those things, by the way. But I'm not talking about an egoic cup. I'm very much talking about a spiritual, emotional love cup, self love cup at the deepest level, which is not necessarily self care the way we might see self care, as in feeding and nourishing our bodies, which is also very important. But I'm not talking about, in Kabbalah, we call it the nefesh. I'm not talking about our physical beings right now. I'm talking about our spiritual beings and allowing yourself to forgive yourself for all of the ways that you have abandoned yourself. And I feel like that was the overwhelming message, the overarching message that came through to me during the grief ritual. It was really grieving all of the ways that I abandoned my own self in the name of, believing that I needed I mean, I needed to be in the system. I needed to stay in the system in order to function in society, and that's what the system wants us to believe. But I actually abandoned my own soul's work by believing that I had to do something that fit in with the system. So I think that's coming forward because I feel like there are many of you here who are living that truth now, who are living that, like, that feeling of, well, I have to stay in this job, I have to stay in this relationship, I have to stay on this path because this is the path, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I guess we're being encouraged to really look at the supposed to's, to look at the shoulds, and to ask yourself, like, what do I actually want? What will actually feed my soul? What will actually nourish me? And to begin to let go of the supposed to's and the shouldas and all of the ways that we contort and conform ourselves to some sort of traditional path, to some sort of, like, checkbox, like, this path is approved, like, you can live this life because somebody approved it, but your own being is rejecting it. And in rejecting and neglecting to hear the message from your own being, you are neglecting your own heart. And we're just being invited to look inward and ask our hearts, ask our souls, what how have we abandoned ourselves, and what kind of nourishment do we need in order to heal that abandonment wound inside of us. We like to believe that it is other people who have abandoned us, but the truth of the matter is that no one else can abandon us in quite the same way that we abandon ourselves. It's the same with the negative self-talk. It's like, if people spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, you'd, like, stab them. You get really angry and be like, no, you cannot talk to me this way. And yet we allow ourselves to talk to ourselves in that way. And so just being invited to notice the ways that we abandon ourselves and speak to ourselves unkindly, negatively, and keep ourselves on this path that actually doesn't belong to us at all and never has. So that's one thread of energy. Oh, I hear the little pitter patter of Nora feet. I think she knows I'm working, so I think she may give me one more minute. So let's see if I can get the other half of this message in, which is what came through for us this morning. And that feeling is, and it builds on what came through yesterday around self-abandonment and really allowing yourself to let go of the ways you abandon yourself and to come back to yourself. There's also this feeling of change being the only constant, which I know you all know this. I know that I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. But what comes forward around change is this feeling of, and it came forward actually yesterday as well, and I'm just recognizing it now, but this feeling of wanting to go back to the way things were before you woke up, and recognizing that there is no going back. We cannot go back to where we were before. We can only go forward. And I just want to remind you that going back to where you were is not actually going to be any more comfortable. It's maybe more familiar, or maybe like there are fond memories in there. I can feel like the places that you're trying to go to, which is like they're warm memories. There's like it's almost the feeling of like being hugged by someone who you love deeply and who loves you deeply, wanting to like crawl back into the arms of a former lover, wanting to crawl back into the arms of maybe your own mother or father, like wanting to go back to something that was before, and really lamenting where you are now, because there's a there's a disconnect in that memory and what was actually happening and where you actually were and where you're being invited to go. Let me see if I can unpack that a little more easily. Sorry, I'm distracted because I can hear Nora and I know she wants my attention. Mm. We have the capacity to distort memory. So when we retell a story, when we retell ourselves a story, or we tell our story to another, there's a weaving that happens naturally. And like I can hear like almost like we're lying, or we're lying to ourselves. And that's not quite true. It's like we want to remember things in a certain way so that we can go back to that place and feel that love and feel that warmth and feel that connectivity. And when we're longing to go backwards, or we're wishing that we can bring forward that feeling, there's a feeling of giving that feeling, giving the ownership of that feeling, giving the ownership of that memory to someone else's relationship with you. So what I'm seeing, like I'm literally seeing like like an image of a mother holding a small child, and also of like two lovers who are like at the peak of their dopamine, like just loving up on one another, and this feeling of I just want to go back there. But back there was a level of not being awake, of being asleep, of not knowing what was to come. There's an innocence. I think that's the word that I'm looking for. There's an innocence back there that you are desiring to bring forward, but you can't bring it forward because of everything that has transpired between that innocence and where you are now. And there's this longing to go back, to go back, to go back. And while time can unfold on top of itself, we talked about this on Friday, I believe. And that is the way that I do energy work. That is the way I see time. That is the way I'm able to work with all of you, whether one-on-one or in a collective. There is no going back except to go forward and heal where you are now, to go heal into that timeline that is behind you. And we're being invited to really step into the new with so much more courage than we believe that we have, so much more openness and so much more spaciousness in our systems to embrace the change that is right here now. It's not the change isn't coming forward. It's here now, and there's resistance, and there's this desire to go back to that innocence. But what I want to suggest is to tap into that feeling of innocence, to tap into that feeling of being in the arms of your lover, to tap into the feeling of being in the arms of your mother or your father or some beloved. There's a warmth and a holding there, but I want you to bring that feeling into the present moment and allow yourself to hold yourself in that way. I'm going back to being on the dance floor on Sunday night. Part of what I was grieving was this feeling of being alone, of being lonely in this world. And what or who came forward was one of my beloveds who is, as I would say to my children, in the stars right now. He has been in the stars, I think it will be 15 years on November 15th. But he came forward and he just reminded me as one of my angels that I will never dance alone, that he will never leave. And I could feel his body like up against mine as I was moving by myself on the dance floor. And that's the feeling that wants to come in here now for you, is this feeling of you are never alone. You will never be alone. You are surrounded in an embrace by your angels and ancestors and guides. And if you can feel into the memory of your mother holding you, if you can feel into the memory of your lover holding you, if you can feel into that memory, it's that feeling that you want to bring into the present moment, not to go back to that moment in time, which we can't actually do, but you can bring that feeling forward and move into all of the change and move into all of the uncertainty from that place of warmth and connectivity inside of yourself. Because who you're connecting with, hi, my love, what you are connecting with is actually inside of you. And so bringing that embrace, that loving embrace, all the way inside of you, feeling that angel up against your cheek and trusting we're going to move forward connected in a loving embrace, and we can face the new, we can face the change, knowing that we are so held. Okay. I think I need to leave us there because I think I need to go be mama. But I love you all. Please like and share and subscribe. Oh, I see a little squirrel in the tree. Like and share and subscribe. Comment below. Tell your friends. I honestly, this is one of those messages that I have no idea what I just said. And I'm going to hope that it's exactly what you needed. So let me know if it was. Go forth. Have a beautiful day. I will see you tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Yes. And I will see you for real tomorrow. Bye.